Today on the grid, we're talking about how to make awesome photos at an air show. Mr. Kuna is out gallivanting around this week, but never fear, my co host is aviation photographer and overall man extraordinaire, Larry Grace. We have some awesome giveaways that will be given to someone watching live today, and that could be you. And it all starts in just 30 seconds.
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to another live episode of The Grid. Scott Kelby here. I am actually broadcasting from home. I just came from an 8-day trip all over the place and thought it might be better. I stayed home for a few days after being on a packed Southwest Airlines flight. So, I'm home. But anyway, I am home, so it's nice to be home. It's nice to be back. Real briefly, just to let you know, I took a family vacation. We went to Maine, someplace we've been going to for 14 years, and obviously we haven't been there in a few years. And that was wonderful. We went to Kennebunkport, great place. Then the family flew home, and I flew to Chicago to hook up with my buddy Paul. Hey, Paul Kober. You may recognize Paul from his appearance here on the Grid. And then Paul and I drove from Chicago to Oshkosh, Wisconsin to get cheese. No, to meet up with Larry Grace and the guys from the ISAP, the International Society of Aviation Photography, where we all got in a big rented Airbnb house. All of us vaccinated. We were pre-vaccinated. We had a pre-vaccinated check before we went. Anyway, we all got vaxxed up, got in a house, and went and shot the nation's largest air show, which is the Oshkosh Air Show. Now, why this is, we hope is going to make an interesting show is, so Paul Kober, my buddy who was with me, he has never shot an air show before. So we spent a lot of time with Paul on settings and stuff and all, and he did phenomenally well. He did ridiculously well. But there were a lot of lessons learned to get to the point where he was able to really shoot and be comfortable. And there's a lot of things that we can share. So that's what we're doing today. We've got some images from all of the guys. My host today sitting in for Mr. Kuna. So where's Mr. Kuna? Mr. Kuna is right now, he is in, I think, Utah. He took an RV and drove to Utah to be able to get, well, number one, to show his family, his family's with him, for them to see, some of our great national parks out west. They'd never been to Monument Valley or the Grand Canyon or any of that stuff. So they're out there. But of course, Mr. Kuna wants some clear skies for some Milky Way stuff. He's already sent me a couple of shots. He's already getting it done out there. So he's going to come back with some crazy cool stuff. So that's where Mr. Kuna is. He's out this week and next week. But we are very fortunate to have with us today a very dear friend of mine who is an absolute expert, one of the leading experts in aviation photography in the world today. He's the president of the ISAP that I mentioned earlier, and just an awesome guy. You may recognize him from his appearances here on the Grid in the past. But I want to welcome Larry Grace. Welcome, Larry.
Hey, Scott. Good to see you back home.
Don't you have a fancy Grid background you can put up right? No, you're just here at your home office.
I can do the Top Gun thing.
no, not necessary. Not necessary. Anyway, good to see you, Larry. I haven't seen you in almost 2 days. So
exactly.
Anyway, so what we wanted to do today was to be able to share, some of these experiences and images and stuff. And it's interesting. So you have 5 guys. We're all in the same house. We're all standing in approximately the same area. And you will be stunned at what different images that we took all standing right there together. Now, I don't mean like we're within 2 feet of each other, but we had a basic area that we kind of shot within a little box that we kind of shot in, which was near the runway, as near the runway as we could get. But I think you're going to be really surprised when you see, because you think, well, I'm going to get the same shots everybody else is going to get. That is not the case. Now, I will say this. While this was Paul's first air show, all of these other guys are very, very seasoned aviation photographers. So they're all they're good shooters. They know what they're doing. This is not their first rodeo. They're all members of ISAP. And so, I was really expecting good things from them, and they did not disappoint. I have some interesting thoughts about what I decided to do with the show, and we'll talk about that. And we'll look at some images. I'm still kind of downloading some stuff where we had some technical stuff that we were dealing with right before we went on the air. So I still have to ingest some images into Lightroom. But I'm gonna kind of let Larry set up the week for you why Oshkosh is so important. And one of the big things that I think is so great about aviation photography, and that is this. If you want to shoot like pro football, you have to have special access to get on the side of the sidelines. You have to be shooting with a media company, a wire service, the team. You have to be a team photographer. It's a very small group of people that can shoot. And if you go to motorsports, same thing. You're way up in the stands, but if you want to be down at floor level with a hole cut in the fence and you're shooting the race cars, you have to have all kinds of special access. And I can go on about NBA and hockey and all these things. And it is a limited number of people that can get pro quality shots. This, and Larry knows we talk about this is one of the best things about shooting an air show. It's a level playing field. Everybody can get great shots. I'm standing there, Larry's standing there, there's somebody from the crowd right next to us. So it's the equipment doesn't have to be very expensive. The access is great. I think of almost all of the genres where you can get pro quality shots that rival the very best for other pro photographers is air shows. So Larry, I'm going to turn it over for you for a second while I get these images ingested, and tell them about the whole Oshkosh, and why we were there and what's so special about that show.
Well, what makes EAA Air Venture unique is once a year, everyone from around the world attend. It started off a little small air show in Rockford, Illinois, and they outgrew that space, and then they located to Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And what makes, I like to say, Air Venture so special is every year everybody comes back together. It's a week of family reunion, and without a year of air shows, especially last year, this year was doubly important because everybody got back together. We had to go out, enjoy, be outdoors, and see and photograph what we love to do. As Scott mentioned, with Oshkosh, most people who will attend Oshkosh, this is a show you cannot do in one day. And the reason I say that, because you have everything from warbirds to ultralights to Cessnas, you name it, flying in. Then you have your commercial airline. Then you have the military coming in. And this year, the military that was represented was special operations, and they brought in everything. They literally had probably, for their part of the presentation, well over 200 people to show off what special operations does. And the crowds at Oshkosh only see a part of it. The other thing that's probably for aviation photographers that they like about Oshkosh is you're shooting for the afternoon air show, which starts about 2:30 and it goes until about 6:30. And the majority of the show, you're shooting with the sun behind your back. So when we get the perfect Oshkosh weather skies, and this year we had a lot of problems with the smoke coming in from Canada, but with that said, still great photography was made. And there's a couple of shots I think I'll have Scott show you later where I will say, this is what the crowd saw and this is what I saw. But with that saying, Oshkosh is a place where it's almost a 5-mile long strip. And with that, you can line up on either side. So you're on the north or south side. You can be up on the line, or you can be back in the crowd. And sometimes, believe it or not, for Oshkosh, being on the line is not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes being back 15, 20 feet is a great spot to be. There are a couple of platforms that Oshkosh over the years have set up for photographers, but it can get pretty crowded, but you can get another unique view there. One thing about Oshkosh is a lot of photographers will team up, and you'll see groups of photographers spending the afternoon sharing ideas, sharing tips, talking about, which shot they got, what they're looking for, call out signals to each other. So with that respect there's a lot of fun there. So this year, or I've actually tried to get Scott to come out to Oshkosh for a couple of years. And this year, he finally called me up and says, Larry, I'm coming to Oshkosh and I'm bringing my good friend Paul. I said, okay, you're set. And we were trying to work out the schedule. I would have loved to have him there a couple of days earlier, but he got a good feel of the air show. And the thing that we'll probably talk about is, one, your first day, you're kind of getting yourself back in shape. You're, if you haven't shot for a while or you're a little rusty, you're kind of working on things. Okay, which direction, where do I want to set up for the air show? And then by day 2, you're correcting mistakes that you've made on day 1. And probably by day 3, you're starting to get into a groove. But Oshkosh is basically about seven days long. Some of us get there 8 to 9 days early, or 2 days earlier than what the actual air show starts. But once you get on the field, you can photograph from sun up to sundown. You can catch your rivals coming in. You can walk around the grounds and look at the exhibits. You can walk around. There's reenactors set up down in the Warbird section. You can go all the way down to the opposite end of the field, and there are ultralights going. And then off campus of Oshkosh is what's known as Sea Base. And that's where a lot of the seaplanes will base themselves for a couple of days before they either fly in and be on display and things of that nature there. So lots to do and say to do at Oshkosh. And with that, I think I lost Scott. There's Scott.
Yeah, there we are. Hey, so I have your images up, but it's already time for a break. So
go for a break.
So before we head to break, I want to say hi to some folks. I want to give a shout out to Claudia, who's watching us from Toronto. Marby is here from Austria. Mariana is here from sunny London. All right. Anders is here from sunny Sweden. Okay, every place is sunny. All right. Rick Salmon's here. Yay, Rick Salmon. Yay, Rick Salmon. Stanley is here from Bowie somewhere. Bowie, Maryland? No, Bowie. He's from here from Bowie. Marianne is here from Fort Myers. Barbara's here from Yolo County, California. Phil's here from Chicagoland. Deb's here. It says from a hot California. Pee-wee, A.K. Pauline is here. Steve's here. Let's see. Good afternoon from a sunny, not as hot, but still hot Baton Rouge. Nina's here from Pennsylvania. Judd is here from Medicine Hat, Alberta. Stan's here from Texas. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today for this very different episode of The Grid. But we have lots to share and lots of tips and stuff. I've got Larry's images loaded up here, and we're going to talk about those. We're going to try to give you some tips to help you make better shots at the air show. So that's what's coming up. Stick around. We'll be right back. Don't go away. We're live here on The Grid.
Hello everybody, my name is Aaron Van. We're here at my studio in Orlando, Florida, on location shooting lighting for food photography. I am a commercial advertising food and beverage photographer. This is my first class with the Kelby One community, and I'm so excited to share with you my knowledge and my perspective on how to light for food. I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty details. We're going to get into some technical stuff, but at the end of the day, what we're really looking for is I want to give you the tools to have a base of knowledge of understanding of how to light food. In this class, we're going to get into some of the details about sensor size, lights, cameras, lenses. We're going to look into aperture and how apertures really play a role in food photography or in photographing something so tight and so close, and how much light we need to shoot those subjects the way we want to. Not only will you have a general knowledge base to be able to light any scene in a tabletop environment, but I want you to have all the pieces and parts and tools that you need to be able to put together your own recipe for your style. I want you to take this lighting and this information and create your look and feel and figure out how you want to light your subject. Come join me for my first class on lighting for food photography on kelby1.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
Okay, we're live. Yay. Well, thanks. Anyway, well, welcome back, everybody. There's no one here to go 5, 4, 3. It's just me. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Just want to mention we got some Larry stuff here, but we're going to look at his images in just a second. We've got some giveaways today, and I'm going to look up what they are because I have a text here. Today's giveaways, we're giving away a Platypod Ultra from our friends at Platypod, which, by the way, I had my Ultra with me not only in Maine, I had it in my pocket in Chicago, and I also used it quite a bit shooting the warbirds, the static warbirds that were planes on the ground at Oshkosh as well. I actually might have an image or two to show you from that in a minute. You're going to have a chance to win one of those. We're also giving away my 2 brand new books. My iPhone photography book. It's called the iPhone Photography Book. And even if it's not for you, it might be for someone that you know. So if you win it, you can give it to them. Number 3 is my brand new 7-point system book. So the 7-point system book for Lightroom. It's my first version done for Lightroom. So that's kind of exciting. And that is, we're giving away that. We're also giving away the DxO Nik collection, the entire Nik collection 4. We're giving away all of that today to someone watching live. So it's cool that you're watching live. Thank you very much for doing that. And all right. I've got some Larry's photos here, and I'm going to pull them up. Let me go ahead and do my screen sharing here and be able to pull those up for you. One moment. Don't move, don't breathe, don't make a sound. And hopefully it will be the right screen and everything. Let's give it a shot. It's this one right there. Wait, that's not it. Here it is. Let's see if we have the screen here. And we'll let Larry to talk to these images. So these are Larry's images we're going to look at. And okay, that's not the right first one. I'm sorry. Let me pull it. I'm Larry. I don't know what happened there. Let me get the the correct first image up. Of course, I can't see it because I'm screen sharing. Yes. Hang on. Here we go. Now we have the right first image.
There you go. That right there is the Jet Waco and the Twin Yak, one of the acts that performed at Oshkosh. And you can tell by the sky that's affected by the smoke from Canada coming in. But, probably I'm using a 1/160th shutter speed to kind of make sure I have some motion in the propellers and kind of a nice, give you an ambient effect there. Keep going, Scott.
Well, Larry, can we talk about this for a second?
Sure. Ask me away.
Because, okay, so when you're shooting jets, it's very easy, honestly. Jets are a no-brainer. You set a high shutter speed. In fact, you don't even have to set a high shutter speed. You could shoot jets in program mode or auto mode or whatever you want, and you're going to freeze the motion in a bright, sunny day, and that's nothing. But when you see a shot like we're seeing on screen here, this is the challenge of shooting an air show. It's when you shoot propeller planes. If you shoot them at a high shutter speed, they look like they're frozen in midair. The prop is stuck open. It looks like, oh no, their engine quit. They're going to die. So
they're going to fall out of the sky.
Right. So why this is important and why Larry told you his shutter speed, which is 1/60th of a second, is because the art of shooting propeller planes is a dance. You're trying to be able to hold your camera steady as you're moving at the same speed of the airplane. So it's nice when they're slow. It's nice when it's a slow flying airplane and you can track right along with them at a very slow shutter speed.
It is, but let's. What I'd like to do, Scott,
That
real quick,
rotation will.
quickly talk about if you're beginning. And I think I mentioned this last time I was on. For beginners, I really want you to start at 1/3/20th of a second.
Right.
That should enable you to get some motion in the propellers, okay, and sharpness with your aircraft if you pan properly. Now, before you come out to an air show, and a lot of people may say, "Well, that won't work." Go out to your local highway or something where there's a lot of cars coming back and forth, and start panning, going back and forth, and change your shutter speed so you can see what's going on. But the initial goal for the beginners who are going out there, start at 1/3/20th of a second. I know you're going to get something that you'll be happy with. And once you master that and you feel comfortable, then you slowly drop that shutter speed. Go down to 2/50th of a second, go to 200 of a second, go to 1/25th of a second. You go into it just looks really terrible. That doesn't mean you cannot shoot there. That means you have to practice to get better at that shutter speed. But go to the best shutter speed that'll work with you. Now, with some lenses, you'll turn on your vibration reduction. Some you want to handle, and it's all holding steady that lens. And sometimes watch others around you and watch how they're holding their lens and shutter speed. But don't get disappointed if you try to get that perfect. And there's one other thing we need to mention. If there's no light hitting that propeller, you ain't gonna get it. Okay, that's you need light.
Right. And so I learned that the hard way. It was Larry that turned me on to that. I'm like, Larry, I'm not getting any propeller. And he's like, yeah, the light's not hitting the props. But what I wanted to say was, and Larry just reiterated it, is that this dance is the reason why he has that perfectly round, nice thing, is because he's done this long enough where he can shoot at a very low shutter speed. But just to reiterate what Larry said, starting at 1/320th is going to give you some motion. So the prop doesn't look frozen. You'll see that it's moving, but you're not going to have that nice perfect circle that he has here. And so what he's showing you this shot here, which is just a weird plane and a weird plane's cousin that are flying together here, is he's hit that sweet spot. That now remember, this is just a technical thing. But you have to have the technical stuff in place. Oh, good, my battery's going low here. Let's close that. Here's another one. Here's another shot, Larry.
Well, this is just one of the unique spots that I like to get at Oshkosh. We call this the North 40. And, for some reason, I know what this airplane is, but it just escapes me. But what I'm trying to do is panning with the aircraft. I think this one was I think I was still at 1/160th of a second shooting this and moving so you can get, little motion blur and keep the aircraft sharp.
Yep. What's going on here?
Here is the SoCal Special Operation Command paratroopers coming in. And this is at the beginning of the show. You can see the guys, they're just landing. That's the POW flag. You see the CAP cadets holding the American flag. And that's at the opening of the show. And I did a fatal error here in this picture. I like to level the horizon. And for some reason, I didn't level the horizon on this shot. And that's something you do in Photoshop. Yeah, I know. I blew it. But now this is a new act that appeared this year at EAA, to Bob Chuck. And it's this is their first time performing at Oshkosh, and towards the end of their flight, they'll get together, and this is coming towards me, and you can kind of see the wings. It looks like they're going to collide, but this is actually a choreography between these two pilots and many hours of training and practice. So the illusion to you on the ground is, hey, they're going to touch. But in the air, they're safely apart from one another and keeping an eye on each other as they come through. And again, this is shot at about 1/160th of the speed. Now, I have recently started going more to shutter priority, and I also use auto ISO. On a sunny day, I'll set my camera at the lowest point, and then anywhere from 4 to 600. It's a cloudy day like you saw there, or an overcast day at Oshkosh, I may push it up to 6,800. The camera's going to tell you. So basically what you're focusing on, once you set the shutter speed, you can worry about, or not worry, I should focus on composition and following. Now this is Carl Franklin, and part of his act, he will scrape the wing on the runway. And I think what you're going to find is there's several from the other guys, they all shot, and you're going to see different viewpoints of this act from their cameras. So never think that, you know, you're always going to get the same shot because somebody is sitting next to you. You can hit the next one, Scott. Now, this is an interesting sequence real quick here. I quickly grabbed, I saw the Chinook taking off, and I saw the two Army Rangers in the back displaying an American flag. Now, the one thing you might notice, it might look a little soft. That's because I'm shooting between the exhaust that's coming out of the back of the helicopter. Go to the next one, Scott. That's what. Then I saw one of the linesmen give a salute for the American flag. I found out later, like myself, he's a veteran. And so he's giving respect to the flag. But what's really interesting and makes this even more unique is the next shot. If you notice, the German Air Force flew in their A400M. When they departed, they noticed the guy off across the field that you saw in the last shot. If you notice, the entire German crew snapped to attention, gave a salute, and the far crewman is actually raising, he has a small American flag in his hands. So as a military person, you know, that to us is like, that's respect. That's respect for two foreign nations and their fellow brotherhood. So that to me was a unique shot that I just saw and I captured it. Okay, next. Now this is just to give an ambiance of what Oshkosh is a little bit about. These are folks getting an aircraft to put in position, and a lot of the aircraft that come into Oshkosh park on grass. And many, many years ago, or a few years ago, we had a year where we had a lot of rain that Oshkosh effectively became known as Splashkosh. So we had to wait a few days to get the ground surfaced a little bit more. But the first part of the week of Oshkosh, you saw people coming in. This is one of the marshalers. They'll block off and allow the airplanes to come past, and you got crowds around. And I just like the smile. Next. And this is one of the marshalers, you know, just putting the aircraft in its parking spot there again. People shots are just as important as just getting a shot of the airplane. As I try to explain to a lot of guys in the organization or for the magazine we put together, they're just as important in the photo. You know, tell a story. You want that photo to tell a story, not just a plane in the sky. You know, put some, there's interest into it. It could be an angle. It could be a cloud. It could be how it's coming in, people around it. Add people to give some interest to your photographs. Okay. All right. Now, this particular one, after that last shot, after the AIM 400 landed and the crew was getting there, this is the pilot who actually got out, and I saw at the very last second, hit the ground to kiss the ground, and then he said, "We made it. We're here at Oshkosh."
Oh,
that was just a little fun moment there. And this is towards one of the evening night shows. This is the P-40. Stuart Milk is flying it, and I was on the opposite side of the field to capture a shot for the SoCal team. They said, Larry, we want to get a shot of the fire behind us and things. So I had to sit there and go, okay. So got permission, was put on the other side of the field so you can see the crowd behind me. You can see the aircraft coming by. And this is the shot they wanted. You can see the team. There was a wall of fire, and you can see the F-16 because their first pass was the F-16 Viper demo coming through. And this is one where you kind of go, okay, you hit the motor drive, you get it lined up, and you just shoot, and you hope you nail it. I will say it's sometimes a little luck, but all the elements came together for this shot.
Nothing wrong with luck.
Now, this one here is fireworks at night. And it's always nice to get a foreground or have a subject in the foreground in fireworks. And working with Jeff this year, and a couple people said, well, I use my trigger. I said, no, I'm going to use what I commonly use for fireworks every year is camera on a tripod, cable release. I'm going to focus on the subject, make sure that's there. ISO 100, F11, and I will do shots at about 4 seconds. I actually will set the camera for 4 seconds, and every 4 seconds, fire the trigger. In this particular case, I think I went to 6 seconds, but then I just went to bulb, and then every 6 seconds, I would fire. And you can vary anywhere from 4 seconds to 11 seconds. The only time you don't want to go very long is at the end of the show, because when the entire wall of flames, if you're too long, it's going to blow it out. That's the only time you're going to use maybe a second or even less. But this is a shot here that
where's the light coming from on the plane?
Luckily, a little bit behind me, and the fireworks from the sky. And this is one where using your lights will really help light up the aircraft. And another thing I use is a flashlight, and just kind of try to get just a little bit of light on that aircraft to try to balance it. Some of it we'll pull out in post, but fireworks shots are one that people always ask about. Now, shots in the sky, that one's a little bit tricky, and I'll be the first to tell you I haven't mastered that. I do have some tricks to just let the streaks come in using the same firework technique, and that way you see streaks in the sky. But there are guys who have managed and do very well catch it in the sky. Go ahead, Scott.
It's time for a break. We got a break here, Larry. So stick around. We got some more tip stuff. Larry's got some really good stuff coming up here. We're going to look at some more images. Don't go away. We're live here on the grid. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Leonard Johnson, and I'm very excited to be here doing my first class at Kelby 1. Now I'm going to teach you how to take your images from start to finish with lights, beauty dishes, V-flats, tethered to a computer with Capture One, Capture Pilot, so my makeup artist can follow through. So creating beauty portraits, fashion images. I enjoy doing beauty photography because I like being around people. I think I'm different from other photographers because of the way I shoot. I work with a mood board and I follow that mood board from start to finish to create whatever look I'm going for. And I'm working closely with my team. So creating a team is the way to go if you want to elevate those images. And that's the way I do it to separate me from the crowd. So in this class, I'm going to take you through how to create impactful images from start to finish. So come join me in my latest class at kelby1.com.
Have you ever gone to the movies and after spending $30 on popcorn and a ticket, you walked out of the theater thinking, man, that movie was just an excuse to sell toys? But I have started to think that maybe I can look at those toys a different way. And I am a storyteller at heart. And the stories I want to tell are based on those cinematic universes that I love so much. So maybe I could use those toys to tell the stories that I want to tell. The only limit is my imagination. The best part is, you could do the same thing. So join me for my class on unlocking storytelling with toy photography, only on Kelby 1.
For over 20 years, leading software developer Boris FX has made its mark on the film and television industry. Now, our Academy and Emmy Award-winning visual effects tools are available for photographers. Welcome to Optics. Optics is a collection of 160 filters for Photoshop and Lightroom. Simply apply the effect and launch the interface. Optics features thousands of customizable and creative presets for photo editing and effects layering. The top tools include lens flares for cinematic looks, realistic night skies with star fields and moon generator, add lightning with on-screen interactive control. The Easy Mask tool creates masks with just a few clicks. Optics is available now as a plugin for Photoshop and Lightroom and includes the standalone application for Mac OS and Windows. Get Optics now for 25% off. Visit borisfx.com, add Optics to your cart, and apply coupon code KELBY25.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
Hey, we are back. Scott's here. We got Larry Grace on the line, and we're talking about getting good aviation photos at an air show. And Larry's going to bring up something here in a second, and we're going to go to it right now, actually. That is it is a new thing, well, somewhat new, but it's now very easy. It's a post-processing technique that you're going to want to know about. So let me switch over to the screen share here. Give me just a second because it says I am sharing. So hang on, let me jump over to Lightroom. You guys see my screen still?
Not yet.
Not yet, huh? It shows it's sharing.
Oh,
there
there
it is.
we go.
Okay, Larry.
Okay. Real quickly, the U2 was making their appearance at Oshkosh, and this view right here is what we all saw. This is what the people saw. The next shot is how I saw it.
Yeah,
Scott?
gray, lifeless sky.
Green skin. Yeah. That's how I saw it.
Well, yeah, that's how we would prefer to see it, of course. But you know, the reality of it is you're shooting an outdoor event. Sometimes you get great skies and blue skies, and sometimes, how many days did you go, Larry, before I got there with just gray, empty skies that are just fogged in and nothing there?
We got there on Saturday, and you came Thursday. So I think one day we had reasonably good sky, but we just had to work through the rest of the time there.
The rest
Same
of the time
thing here. We had this. This is an Osprey coming in again. This is what the crowd saw, and this is how I saw it in my mind.
Right, and that's how it would look on any reasonable day. Now, I want to show everybody how to do this because it's incredibly easy. All right, now I grabbed a shot from Sun and Fun. This was not taken at Oshkosh. This was taken at Sun and Fun earlier this year. But you can see this is very typical of what you might run into, which is just a very, very boring. I'm on the wrong screen. I got to switch which screen is being shared. Hang on. It's another joy of Skype. Hang on. Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't make the sound. Switch screen. Yes. Switch to this screen. There we go. See if you see that now. Maybe? Yes? No? Anybody?
Seeing us. Maybe. There we go.
Okay. So this is very typical. It's kind of a not great sky, and especially if you're shooting around 12 noon or 1, it's not often a nice blue sky. It's often this kind of gray, icky thing. Well, inside of Photoshop, what you can do, let me just bop over to Photoshop. What you can do is go into the edit menu and ready? Sky replacement. This is relatively new in Photoshop in the last year. It is very, very well done, and there's nothing easier in the world to do than sky replacement. You just choose it, go pick a sky, and it replaces it. That's not the right sky, right? But it comes with a bunch of them. You need to use your own skies. Don't use their skies. Use your own skies, and just click on it, and it replaces the sky. It does all the math for you. It does a brilliant job, and that's all there is to it. Now, the thing that I would recommend to you is when you're there, when you're at the show, and it is a day with nice skies and no planes are flying, shoot the flipping skies. Shoot it with the same lens at the same, like I'm shooting a Tamron 150 to 600. Use the same lens so if you're usually shooting at 500, shoot the sky at 500. So when you put in your skies later, they look appropriate. Now these were not shot with the same lens here, but they look okay. But you'd have to go through here and find out, which one looks right. But here, I'm going to take you back to where we started, and let's just hide that because you don't have to. Let's just hide it. And that's what you have before. Well, you're not going to show anybody that shot, right? It looks like crud. So that's what Larry did there, and that's why that sky replacement is important. I just like to get the skies, if I can, from the same place, even that same day. There are times where we had great blue skies at 4 o'clock, and at 12 noon, it was awful. But if you can get the same skies with the same lens, your chances of success are that. Hey, we only have 13 minutes left, and I want to see some of the other guys' shots, and we want to give you a few more tips. So I'm going to bounce over there. Give me just a second to get, but now we got to go back to Lightroom. Got to bounce over.
And while you're bouncing, Scout, guys, when it comes to sky replacement, there are some tricks to even make it look even more natural. If you have a chance, drop in, send me an email. I'm known to do Zoom calls with people, and we work on that little technique here and there. Just a little tip, that's all.
All right, so these are some shots from Andy Lay. Andy's a very good aviation photographer. He's just a really good photographer all around, and I've known Andy for years, so it was fun to get to see him again. But he's taking all kinds of different shots, and I just want to run through them for you real quick because same guy, same place, and getting very, very different shots. This is those planes cutting the ribbon. They fly so low, they cut a ribbon held by these guys. He nailed that time.
Now what he did here, this is one where he shot the sequence, and then he's able to drop in so you can kind of see what before, during, and after. These are like a multiple. I've done shots like this more time than we have right now to go through it. It's the same plane, but in three different spots.
Very nice, Andy. This is so what this guy does is he pretends to be drunk and steal a plane. And he bounces all over the runway and everywhere, and people that don't realize it's a gag are freaking out, and the announcer's acting like it's all really happening. But this guy's an incredible pilot. And that's what he scrapes the wings and does and he plays the drunk really well, but he does incredible stuff in that plane.
And again, you can see another view from another photographer.
Ultralight,
yes. Here, shooting ultralights is a lot of fun, especially in the evening. And this is down at the re-encampment area, where they have reenactors come in, and Andy's set up for this shot. We talked about it, which is really cool.
There's one from the nighttime show, I guess.
This is that, yep.
Love this shot. Love it.
And if I remember Andy talking to us about this, it was low. I'm not sure if he had his platypod or not, but he just went behind low. Okay.
Love that shot.
And wide angle on that one. And
look at that. Now, I'm not sure what lens Andy was using, but Andy was shooting a Sony A9, I believe.
I think he had I think Sony has one from 150 to 600. I won't.
Yeah, probably. Or he could have been using the Sigma or something. Here's another platypod shot, real low.
Yeah.
I love that you can see inside the wheel wells so well. Look at that. Sharp as a tack.
Now, this shot you see here, Paul attempted and came pretty close when we get to his shot, something very similar, because he saw this from Andy the night. Each night we would sit back and we would kind of look at our images, and sometimes it's a game of one-upsman, but other times it's just wow, look what I got. And then the next
Yeah.
day you go out and try to get it.
Yeah, at the end of every day, we'd all go back to the house, sit around the dining room table, everybody with their laptops open, bringing in the images and looking at them and sharing tips and sharing ideas and laughing. And it's one of the most fun parts. It's the real social part of it is what happens after dinner. Is everybody just sitting up till 3 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, just working on your images and laughing and just having fun. It is what I love about it. I always say I love golf because golf is a social sport. Like, you spend more time actually writing in the cart and talking on the green and talking at the tee than you actually do hitting the ball. Aviation photography is the same way. It's something to be shared with other people, and you spend a lot of time. I mean, planes aren't just flying nonstop. There's gaps in between them, and plenty of times where you're just kind of hanging out and trying different stuff, and it is an awful lot of fun to do it in a group. It really is. Here's another nice shot. Look at that nice propeller spin, sharp as a tack. All right, so that's Andy. So let me go grab some other images real quick. And let me go just grab we'll grab Paul's images. So remember, this is Paul's first air show ever. And this is his first time shooting.
Never shot at it. Yep.
And the first day, we should have really sat down with Paul. We gave him some basic things like, hey, set your shutter speed and do this and the other. But we really didn't go over his settings with him. And he spent his first day without the first half of the day until I realized it. He did not have AI servo turned on, or if you're a Nikon user, it would be continuous focus. You need a focus method that tracks with the plane as it's moving, right? That's what you really need. Okay, so this shot is kind of irrelevant to what I'm saying, but maybe you could see me. Hey, Mike, if you're in the booth, there we go. Thank you.
There you go.
So you need the focus. What it does is it locks on the plane, and then it stays with it. It helps you to be able to pan and track with the images. And there is a particular on my Canon R6, which Paul also has an R6. There's a particular horizontal focus thing that really, it jumps on the plane. It just goes, oh, there's a plane, boom, and it jumps on it. But we did not have another key piece of that turned on for him. There were some other issues that settings-wise. So day one, Paul was pretty unhappy. Like, he got back and just said, oh, God, all my propeller shots are out of focus. And we're like, that's unfortunately part of it. You're going to get a lot of shots that are out of focus, especially, Larry said it, day one, you're rusty and you're not used to panning. Day two, you're starting to get the feel for it. Day three, now you're in the zone. So this was day one, and he had a lot of shots that he wasn't happy with. But once he started working on them at night, he found a nugget here or there. By day two, he had the right settings. He had some practice under his belt, and he wanted to shoot some static shots and all, and it came out great. So let's take a look at Paul's shots. Remember, this is his first air show ever.
Why you show Paul's shots? Yep. Why you show Paul's shots real quick as we go through a couple of things that Paul didn't know is, one, back button focus. It was totally foreign to him to use back button focus. Another thing that both him and Scott worked on along with Jeff is understanding Canon cameras. There's a little blackout period, and I think there's a control there that you guys figured out that helped improve his keeper rates.
There is, and so one of the other guys there, Jeff, who was really, really helpful and he's a really good shooter, told me, he said, hey, I found this thing here in the menu that instead of going, and can you look at me? Can you show me real quick? Okay. So instead of going flash, 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 every time you take a picture, it does a smoothing effect where you just see a little blip. And when you're tracking moving objects, it is like if you're shooting sports or wildlife, that menu, it's called smooth, and it's under your display settings. So if you go to the display settings, there is normal and then there's smooth. Turn on smooth. It is a huge difference when you're going bah, 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 and you're shooting 20, 30 shots. You don't want to see black screen, black, 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 black. Again, it just reduces the amount of interruption of an electronic viewfinder. So that was Great of Jeff to do that. Let's go back to Paul's images here. Just take a look.
Yep.
Some of these World War II images. Look at this. This is during the Tora presentation where they're recreating the attack on Pearl Harbor.
And Paul picked that up from Andy to get these types of shots.
Also, he's using the recommended shutter speed that Larry gave, which is 1/320th of a second. And look, you can see some prop movement. It doesn't look frozen. It looks like it's moving. And he's still got sharp shots. Look at this nice one of the P-51. Still got shutter movement. Look at that nice tight shot. Crisp and clear. Look
now,
at that.
Again, this was his very first air show. Never shot airplanes. After we did some basic correction, he got some good stuff.
Man, he did. And I don't want to say he did good for his first air show, because Larry, you know, and I know, we've seen people that have shot many air shows that don't have shots as good as this. He just did good. He just did good. But he's a fast learner, and he picked up on the stuff that Larry and all the guys shared. I will say that's another great thing about being in a group, is everybody's like, try this, or make sure you try that, and track here and do this. And you'll also be out there, and Larry will yell, coming from the left, and we all turn left, because these planes are far out there, especially the jets, and all of a sudden they're on you. So it's good to have somebody there to just call out, you know. But look at these shots. I mean, this is day 2. He's shooting and getting good stuff, and he's getting movement in the, look at that, from the Tora, with the explosions going on.
Yeah, this is from Saturday. You guys said those were Saturday shots. There's some post processing, but you know what? He's got stuff. He's got stuff.
Hey, there's supposed to be post processing. Now, I would have popped a different sky in there, but nonetheless. So this is the Viper demo team. It's an F-16, and they do some amazing demos. And he caught that with the afterburners on. And this is just a really nice artistic shot. All right. So that's it from Paul. I thought he did a great job, and he picked it up quick. You know, by day 2, he was night and day from where he was on day 1. But again, he was with some guys that are like, try this, try that. Let me look at your settings. What are you getting? You know. But there's a big lesson here I want to give you here. This is one of the big takeaways from today that I hope you take with you. We're sitting there at night, and we're all setting up our laptops. And we said, Paul, get out your laptop. Let's look at your images and stuff. Look at your not us. Look at your stuff. Paul says, I'm just going to wait till I get back. And we're like, do not do that. No. You need to look at them now. How can you fix problems that you see in your photos now if you don't look to them when you're back home in Michigan? So he did. He popped open his stuff, and he could see his mistakes. He could see his composition issues. He could see how many were out of focus. He could see all that. Guys, that is such a big thing. Do not wait until you get home and you can't fix it. He was able to address these things the very next day because he set up his laptop. He wasn't going to do it, but we made him because we're not friends.
We made him, yes.
Made him do it. No, set up your laptop and look at your images now. And we were also Larry was able to sit over his shoulder and say, okay, here, do this and, do that. And Larry's a great teacher. So that was really helpful for Paul. Yes, Paul had every advantage. He had a great camera. He'd rented from Lens Pro to Go a 150 to 600, same lens I was using, the Tamron. But the playing field was even. He's not out there where other people aren't allowed to go. He's standing right beside us all. He had a $1,200 lens. He had an $1,800 camera. He wasn't $25,000 worth of gear out there or anything. And there were guys out there with $25,000 worth of gear, but I was really impressed with what he got. Let me see who else we've got here. We've got, we looked at Larry, we looked at Paul, we looked at Andy. Let's take a short break. We're already over time, and we're not going to go but a few more minutes. But I want to be able to look at Jeff's images, and we had an issue with them a minute ago. I'm going to try to get them all sucked in here. We've got giveaways to give away yet, and just a couple more things to talk about, and so a couple more tips. I've got a couple more tips that I want to share when I get my images up here. So don't go away. We're live right here on The Grid. Stick around.
Hey guys, my name is Sam Haddix. I'm a portrait photographer from New England, and I have a brand new class on kelby1.com that I am super excited about. Do you ever feel like a left-brain person stuck in a creative industry? I definitely know that I do. Have you ever looked at an image and know that you like that image, but you're not sure why? In my new class, we're going to break down the whys. We're going to figure out why you like a particular image, and we're going to find ways to incorporate what you do like into making brand new images of your own. So if you want to unleash your own creativity, see me play guitar, and show off my tattoos, well, join me in my new class exclusively on kelby1.com.
Would you believe us if we told you that you could fit studio lighting in your pocket? Well, Lytra has made it possible. Lytra is a global award-winning brand that designs and manufactures professional-grade camera lights that are compact, rugged, and waterproof. Whether you're using Lytra gear in a photo studio or underwater, Lytra's mission is to provide content creators with flexible and unlimited lighting tools that can mount on any camera, anywhere. Their lights come with a high CRI or color rendering index, making them some of the most color-accurate lights in the industry. Due to the light's compact and rugged design, photographers are able to use the lights in ways that their studio lighting never could. Lytra has also made multiple lighting accessories available to fit your every need as a creator. Whether you're shooting portraits, nailing a product shot, or even flying your drone, they have got you covered. Lytra enables photographers and filmmakers to focus on their craft and create something beautiful. What will you create?
Make sure you don't miss any episodes of The Grid by subscribing to Apple's podcast app or iTunes. It's free, and we even have a special audio-only version too. So sign up today.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
Okay, we are back. Scott's here with Larry Grace, and I haven't shown my images yet. I'm going to show them to you, but I need to give you a disclaimer. So I shot two types of images, but you know how we're all sitting around, our buddies, and we're all talking. And I said, you know, guys, we're going to go out tomorrow. So it's Friday night. We're getting ready to go out Saturday. And I said, you know, I've already been this year to two other air shows, one in Orlando, one in Lakeland, Florida, Sun and Fun. Here I am out at Oshkosh. And I said, guys, if I get one more shot of a Blue Angel, I'm going to jump out the flipping window, you know. Now, there were no Blue Angels or Thunderbirds there, just the Viper demo team. But this is like the 5th time I've shot the Viper demo team. And they're going to run some U.S. Navy growlers. I've got literally, I'm not joking, thousands of shots of Navy growlers. And I'm like, so what am I going to get? So I'm talking to you like I'm talking to the guys. I go, so what am I going to get tomorrow? You know what I'm going to get? Bunch of shots of a jet in the air. Yep, there it is. Oh, there's a turning left. There's a turning right. Oh, now it's breaking left. And I said, guys, you know, I want to get something more artistic. I want to get something different. I want to spend more time shooting the planes on the ground. Planes are beautiful, and I want to try to get this. Well, as it turns out, I meet this guy. His name is John, and he's another ISAP guy. And we're talking about this stuff. And he starts showing me his photos. And it's exactly the type of style that I was. And he said, oh, my gosh, I was talking about this last night with the guys. This is exactly what I was talking about. I want to show the airplanes in a more artistic way. And I said, that's what I'm going to focus on tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to shoot the jets flying around. And I'll show you those. I got some stupid jets flying around. But I said, I wanted to do this. I told him, I said, I'm inspired by what you've shown me. And tomorrow I'm going to go out. And I won't be able to get the same shots he got because he's taken them over many, many years. They're wonderful, but it's the style that he shot in. So I said, I'm not going to rip you off, but I am inspired to go shoot your style tomorrow. And so he was like, oh, yeah, man, go do it. So I'll show you those second. I guess I'll show you real quick just the standard old shots. All right, so here's the standard stuff that everybody got. So I'm just going to rip through them real quick. You know, just, hey, look, there's a photo. Oh, look, a jet. I only have 1 million of those, okay? This one I thought was kind of cute. The two pilots looking at the Warbird bomber flying off. That thought was, you know, it was all right. Here, let me hide this other thing so we're not distracted. There we go. And this was kind of neat. They're both looking at the engine. And look at that propeller spin, 1/20th of a second. How was I able to get 1/20th of a second? Because he was on the ground not moving. I lowered my shutter speed. Look at that beautiful.
And hey, Scott, you got light on the propeller.
Got light on propeller, or you wouldn't see it if there wasn't light there. This is one inspired by Andy Lay. Andy Lay had taken that great shot you saw of the engine back there, so I was able to get this one and make it black and white. Tip of the hat to Andy. You got a Spitfire here. This is from the Tora. You got a Zero, and then there's another one taken from that same pass that you saw the earlier one. There's another. Okay, so that is that's that stuff. Now, I want to get to that artistic stuff that I was talking about, where I said I wanted to get something different. So what you're going to see now is very, very different than the planes flying through the sky. And so I was inspired. I wish I knew John's last name. Maybe Larry knows it. Larry could give
It's
him
John Ford.
John Ford. So very
John
happy to
Ford.
give John Ford. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
All right. I want to give
If you
him
go
the
into
credit.
the portfolio,
Yeah.
we
All right,
have
here
his
we go.
portfolio up on the website. There you go.
All right. Okay. So here's my images based on John Ford's, and be inspired by him. So what I was looking for was interesting light and interesting lines. And this is a C-130? I believe a C-130 gunship.
C-17. No, not this one. Unless we're ahead. I think this is the AIM 400.
This isn't. This is the first shot I did of this series, and it was of the C-130 gunship. As you first walk into the Boeing area, it's not the Luftwaffe.
Gotcha.
It's not the A400. All right, I believe.
Oh, I know where it is. Yep.
All right,
I know where you are
so-
now. Okay.
all right, here we go.
I like it, though. I like it a lot.
Thank you. So these are very different. And I think it's one of those things you're either going to like it or not. This is showing a little bit more. I was really going for what I call the negative space look, where you don't see a whole bunch of the But look at how nice the light is falling over on it. It's got nice gradations of light. This one's kind of meh. I think I should have pulled that one. And this is another one where it's mostly sky and very little of the airplane. This is one as we're leaving, we're walking out. And that was where Paul got his great shot there. All right, so those are very different than the standard stuff that we normally get from air shows. But I wanted to try it. I wanted to try something different. And so I really enjoyed that. I have to say I really enjoyed it. I was looking for graphical shapes and graphical lines and really focused on composition. The planes are all sitting on the ground. Now, the planes are surrounded by thousands and thousands of people. There's people everywhere. You don't just walk up and there's a plane all by itself and there's no one around it. I sat there trying to get shots of Spitfires and stuff. And Andy Lay had the greatest way of getting people out of the way. So I set my platypod up and I'm behind a Spitfire and I'm trying to get this one shot. And I have so many shots I haven't looked at. I have literally probably 150 shots that are marked as tagged to look at. I just haven't had the time. I just got back, right? So anyway, Andy would go and there'd be people standing there and he would just herd them. He would just walk up and just move them. He wouldn't say, can you move? And he would just kind of walk to where the people had to move and he would clear everybody out and then you got the shot. So I actually did get some shots with nobody there. Now, there was a couple times where Andy did walk up to somebody, but it would be a very interesting technique. He would just walk towards them and they would move. And he would just walk towards somebody else and they would move. He'd walk towards them. And then all of a sudden there's a Spitfire and there's nobody there. But my whole idea behind this was to get the platypod low and aim up so you don't see the crowds and the concession stands and the other jets and the other stuff behind it. Because that is the challenge of shooting the statics. There's people and other planes everywhere. So finding a position, what I did like was they were in the grass. So almost all the time the shots were in the grass so you could make it kind of look. You know what it is? I feel like there's a romance to flying. I mean, there is a romance to flying, and trying to capture that romance is very much like trying to capture travel photography. You don't want to see things that take away. You don't want to see a concession stand. You don't want to see a warthog in the background, the plane, not the actual warthog. You don't want to see an A-10 warthog behind a Spitfire, right? Or behind a Mustang, or behind a classic, or Corsair. You don't want to see the romance and mood ruined by seeing modern stuff in the background. So it's quite a challenge to get that stuff done. All right, Larry, wrap up with some tips. While I'm going to go and see if I can get Jeff's images up here so we can see his real quick. But I do have one more post-processing tip, and then we're going to be out of here. We're already 11 minutes over, so we kind of got to run. But Larry, wrap them up with a tip here. I'm going to jump over and see if I can get these images.
Well, Scott shared a lot of things, and I think a lot of you today on the grid, you're going to probably realize we just touched the iceberg of how to get good photos at an air show. And one of the best things I can recommend for you to do is to work with other photographers, read up on it. I'll give a selfish plug to the International Society for Aviation Photography. You can look us up. Feel free. I've met, in fact, I'm looking at some of the comments, and a lot of the guys on the comments I've actually met through Instagram by making a comment. But some of the basic things is I will tell you to, and I'll repeat it again. If you're shooting jets, speed's your friend. You want to do anywhere from 1,600 to 2,000. I've seen 2,500. Don't be afraid to go lower than that with jets if you want to smooth or give some texture to the background or motion. When it comes to prop aircraft, you want to shoot at start. If you're a beginner, 1/320th of a second is your friend, and you work your way down. It will take time. As we said, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. If you don't have a local airfield, don't be afraid to use cars and just follow a car and work on your panning and changing shutter speed so you can get a feel that way. Don't be afraid to put people in your shots. There you go. Scott's back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for covering. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my daughter who is watching the show today, which is rare. So
hi, Scott, daughter.
She said, "What up? What up?" And so anyway, I want to give you hi, sweetie. Anyway,
I'm not doing that.
You don't have to do that. It's a dad thing. Anyway, all right. So we do have Jeff's stuff here. We have Jeff's images here. And he's a good shooter. He's got some good stuff and some different stuff. Remember, these images all look so different, and we're all together. We're all at the same show. We're all kind of hanging out together, and that's a cool shot. Oh, there's the drunk pilot. Oh, that looks nice. So they do this thing called the heritage flight, where they take old World War II planes and they have them meet up with one or more modern planes. And so you've got a really cool grouping here. You can see the jet starting to join them there. That's nice. I wasn't there for that. That looks really cool. Nice sunset shot. Firing it up. Ooh, that's nice. I'm just seeing these for the first time. So. Yep. I love the light inside the engine.
Now that shot there was taken the same night, or Jeff and I shot that with fireworks. So that was before the fireworks had happened in Airshow. And this is,
look at this.
This is Jeff using an extended shutter speed, or I shouldn't say extended shutter speed, time. So in other words, he used the basic tips I told him for fireworks, but let his exposure stay open. So you can get the streaks, and he happened to fire from his aircraft an airburst.
Oh, look at the timing, cutting the ribbon. There's another plane that's cutting the ribbon. Nice Spitfire. Corsair and a P-51, very nice. Look at that nice prop spin. So he's got nice, sharp aircraft, and you still see the movement. That's the balance that you're looking for. And got some nice plumage there.
That's vapor. That's a goal that a lot of us like to shoot.
I'm glad we got Jeff's thing. I do have one post-processing tip for you. Unfortunately, I don't have an image to show you with it. Actually, you know what? Maybe I do. No, I can't. All of my ports are full, and I can't plug in a drive to show you. But I'm just going to tell you what it is. It's one that I showed to the guys. We're all working at night. If you have an image that is, so you're panning. So you're panning with not a jet. It's not going to happen with jets. It's going to happen with propeller planes, any kind of propeller plane, not just warbirds, but a Cessna or whatever. You're panning with them. You've got a number of challenges. Number one is you want to pan at the same speed of as the plane. That's number one. But number two is you're gonna be moving. You're holding a long lens and you're moving. It's going to happen. So there is a filter in Photoshop that can be your friend. It's under the sharpen menu. So it's under the filter, under sharpen, and it's called shake reduction. And what it does is it does not affect the moving object. In other words, it only counteracts your movement. So it's your handshake that it fixes. So if you have a shot that's a little out of focus, it analyzes the photo. Now, it has to be out of focus from your movement. In other words, you weren't holding it steady enough, which is very easy to do planes are going by. Try it. I think you will be stunned. It analyzes the photo, and if it can determine the direction you moved, it does an amazing job. And I was showing the guys the other night, and they were like, "Wow, it's because I had an image. I had 1,000 images that weren't as sharp as they should have been because of my own hand-holding technique, especially on day one. On day one, it's horrendous. On day two, it's better. On day three, I'm in the zone. But I left before day three. Stupid mistake. Anyway, well, I'll tell you why I left the third day. Because Larry had this special access pass that got our car everywhere. We could drive people would move cones and get out of the way, and we could drive anywhere. But then Larry left, and I had to hike for miles with heavy equipment. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to drive to Chicago. Anyway, back to our story. So this shake reduction, I think it is one of the unheralded champions of post-processing for aviation photography, especially if it's a prop plane. If you haven't tried it, you've tried it, Larry. What do you think?
It works. It does work. It's practice like anything else with Photoshop Lightroom. And those of you in Lightroom, transfer over to Photoshop, fix it, come right back in.
Yep.
So
it's just another tool in your arsenal of things to do when you're post-processing your images. Okay, we are so over time, it's ridiculous. Let's go and see who.
Don't forget your giveaways.
Are. I got them right here. Congratulations! The winner of the Nick Collection 4 is Paul Millsaps. So congratulations, Paul. The Platypod Ultra goes to Rick Gathro, I want to say. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Rick. Gathro? The Phil W won the Nick, also, wait, it says Nick Collection. I guess we're giving away 2. And Stan G won the 7-point system book. So congratulations to you all. The iPhone book goes to Eric Starling. So we gave away 2 Nicks, and then Eric Starling won the iPhone photography book. If you didn't win those books, you can go to Amazon and buy them. Okay, what else do we have? I think that is it for today. I think we are out of stuff. Actually, we're 20 minutes over stuff. But I want to thank you guys for watching. I want a special thanks to Larry Grace for joining us all the way from Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA. Anyway, thank you, Larry, and thank you for letting me join you guys over at Oshkosh. If you are not an ISAP member, go to aviationphoto.org. Go learn about the organization. I can tell you I've been a member. How many years have I been a member now, Larry? 12? 10? It's been a long time.
It's a long time. Every time at least 10, because that's how we started, you and I.
But every time I go to one of their events, whether they're doing a summit or a workshop or whatever, it is the greatest group of people. The aviation photography community supports each other in a way that I don't think any other genre of photography, especially not sports, support themselves. They support each other. They lift each other up. They help each other. They share. And it's just a very, very, ISAP attracts just the greatest people. And if you're a great person, you should be a part of it as well. So go to aviationphoto.org if you're interested in this stuff. And you'll always know what's going on. They've got a magazine, a wonderful aviation photography magazine called Airspeed. And it's wonderful. It features the work of their members and all kinds of articles. And then you have members contributing to it. And that's their website there. That's aviationphoto.org. And but the Airspeed magazine
have them
is
keep scrolling up, and there's a link to the magazine.
Yep, there's Airspeed right there, and it's a terrific magazine. So well done, so well put together. And if you're into this stuff, you will just, even if you never read a word and just looked at the pictures, you would love it. But the articles are very, 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 very helpful. So thanks to you all. Thank you very much, Larry. Sure good seeing you again. And
you too, Scott.
Hope our paths cross again very, very soon. Thanks to our sponsors and thanks to everybody for watching. Good luck to Mr. Kuna out there in Utah. Remember, Mr. Kuna, don't fall in any holes that are full of snakes. Very common thing that happens to people all over Utah and Arizona, where big snake holes are. Anyway, take care, everybody, and we'll catch you next Wednesday right here on The Grid. Take care.